This is another Black Girl podcast. Black girl. We're doing our best to make it last. This is another Black Girl podcast. We're doing our best to make it last. Another Black Girl podcast. Hey everyone, this is Lauren, Lori, Laura, or any of the other 1,000 names people call me for no reason. Yeah. This is gonna be the 11th episode of another Black Girl podcast. If you could see me, if you hear any funny business going on, I'm sitting here with a large mug of hot tea. I'm not about to do an ASMR, but I wanted it. And it's a metaphorical tea because today is October 3rd, for all my mean girls out there. But today is October 3rd, 2020, and this week has been a very special one. Let me adjust the mic. It would be a good idea to adjust it before I start, right? You're wrong. No, we do it during. So, this week has been a very special one for a couple of reasons. But the biggest reason that immediately strikes me is that Donald Trump got COVID. Ooh, I wasn't trying to say his name on here. Child, at this point, whatever. Our POS, also known as our POTUS, has contracted the fatal virus known as COVID-19. And it's funny because previously, when he was COVID-free, he wouldn't name it or say the actual medical name of said virus that has killed over 1 million people now nationwide and about 200,000 Americans in the past year. Well, less than a year, but in the past year. Before it was the Chinese virus. I'm not even going to try to mock him because it's going to be bad. But previously, it was known as the Chinese virus. It was known as all of these dirty things. People called it a virus that began to spread because people were eating bats. And a lot of people showed their truly disgusting xenophobic perceptions and views that they had covered up for so long with the rise and spread of this terrible plague known as COVID-19. But Mr. the Chinese virus, Mr. I'm not going to wear a mask and all my supporters should listen, now has this fatal virus. At the debate, he mocked Biden and said, every time I see this guy, he has on a mask. You should. I don't understand. Oh, haha, this person is washing their hands for greater than 20 seconds and taking all the precautions to stay alive or not get sick. That's like laughing at somebody because they put on an oven mitt. That's extremely stupid, is the point of what I'm saying. So now Mr. Chinese virus has this virus. The man that, in response to hearing about the numbers and the stats, said it is what it is. This is the man who acted like he didn't know the numbers and didn't know the stats in the White House, in the press room, when people were looking to him for guidance because he didn't want to panic the American people. First of all, my whole thing with that is, it's like, when you're a kid and you're like, if I just ignore this thing really hard, maybe it's not in front of me. Or it's like a kid saying, if I just stand really still and don't move, maybe I'll be invisible. The whole problem with that is you can't change what is in the present moment. As much as I hate it, as much as I wish I could, I can't. And for the president of the United States to say, I didn't want to panic the American people. We are already panicking. This pandemic, like the nation, part of the nation has been on literal fire. On fire. People are dying left and right. It's an airborne virus like nothing we've ever seen before in this generation. And let's not forget people still in cages in concentration camps on U.S. soil. And then during the pandemic, it comes out that there's people doing sterilizations on women or women assigned female at birth. And they call this doctor on U.S. soil a uterus collector. Let's not forget police attacking and arresting unarmed protesters exercising their First Amendment right. Let's not forget them being tear gassed and thrown in unmarked freaking vans and being taken Lord knows where. The list goes on. It goes on and on and on and on. And at this point, I am surprised by how surprised I still am by this man. Meaning that I don't even know what he can do that would surprise me. I am unsure because it's like every time you think you've hit the bottom, every time you think you hit a subterranean level of respect for that, something happens that makes me respect him less. At this point, a lot of the way I feel is unfathomable because it's like, how could this have happened? Because it wasn't we. Donald Trump, oh God, I said his name again. Take a shot every time you hear the name Donald Trump. But this man that didn't win the popular vote, I think that deserves a sip of tea. But he did not win the popular vote, y'all. This man should have never sat his butt and his raggedy ghetto kids and wife in the White House. This man should have never been there. That's what gets me. And I believe this week, another thing that has, another reason why this is a great week is because, the New York Times finally dropped his tax information for the year that he went into office. So I believe it was in 2016, he paid $750 in taxes. And I'm not sure, it was either the year before or the year after. I think it was the year before, don't quote me on it. But the year before, he paid the same amount. So not only was it intentional, but it was repeated. And, as much as people in this country look down on people with work permits that allow them to stay in the country, as much as certain people in this country look down on the unemployed or people on welfare or just poor people in general, you mean to tell me that not only are our taxpayer dollars going to cops to literally kill, beat, and tear gas us for exercising our First Amendment right, but our taxpayer dollars are also paying for a man who, before he was elected, not by the people, but by his people or whoever, a man who was elected, before he was elected, He couldn't even pay his taxpayer dollars? Really? You mean to tell me that we are supporting him, his family? I know he's probably on child support. So his baby mamas, and all of them ugly kids. Are you serious right now? And when this man was he wasn't even common. When this man was just a citizen, he couldn't even have paid his taxpayer dollars. And now that he is in the hospital, taxpayer dollars are going to what? COVID treatment, where 200,000 and counting United States citizens have died. And in response to their death, being told it is what it is. So, those were two things that made my week kind of exceptional. And then, like, the thing is, for me, what lab gives you results back at 1 a.m.? Like, seriously. What lab gives you results back at 1 a.m.? I've been tested for plenty of things. And I have never gotten an email, a text, a call from a doctor, not a secretary at no daggone 1 a.m. And yes, he's the president and all. But do y'all really think in your honest and true heart of hearts that somebody at 1 a.m. had on a full suit and ran through the White House to go tell the president that he had the Chinese virus, also known as COVID-19? I don't think so. And he tweeted it at 1 a.m. But didn't he have a rally like right before he posted his results? But you know what? Money's more important than human lives at this point. He's made that very clear. Well, unless it's his own. But that's crazy. It's very, very crazy. And I mean, like, rest in peace to Herman Cain, who was one of his supporters, who didn't want to wear a mask. Like, it is simple. If there is a virus being transmitted by droplets in the air, wear a mask so you don't inhale them. If it can live on surfaces, wear gloves. If you don't want to do that, buy some hand sanitizer by the boatload. If you still want to be protected on top of the mask, wear a face shield. Hell, wear a hazmat suit. But simple solutions to a very big problem. And even when you do that, you still might get it, but still it reduces the chances. But no, you didn't want to wear a mask. No, you wanted to hype up whoever you wanted to hype up, aka your supporters, who said it is my constitutional right to decide if I'm going to wear a mask. It is my decision. You can't tell me I should be able to shop in here, go here, touch that, sneeze on that, cough on them, and not put on a freaking mask just because I'm selfish. The same group of people who believed that man when he said a very real virus was a hoax. Like, literally, if you just wanted to smack me in the face, just smack me. Smack me. Smack me. But don't do that. Don't do that. And I mean, if we would have took more precaution, many more people would still be alive. If we saw the numbers, if he addressed it, if he didn't play with the CDC, people would still be alive. And a lot of people say, like, oh, this is politics. A lot of this is fake news. For anyone in their right mind, how is this a blue versus red? This should literally be a no-brainer for everyone in their right mind. This should be clear as day. How did the nation fall to this. We were pretty low before, but that's another conversation. How did the nation fall to this? And I'm repeatedly surprised at what occurs here, at what is permissible here. But we already know this. Y'all know this. We know this. If you're listening to this, we're vibing. You know the vibes. We've been on the same level from the first episode. Also, sidebar, thanks for supporting all the way to the 11th episode. I love y'all and I appreciate y'all, as always. Okay, so back to our regularly scheduled program. All I wanted to say is that I find it funny. And I think that this moment, this week, these two things, amongst other things, but those two things have gotten the most media attention. These two things have caused hundreds of thousands of people to celebrate. And there are other people who say, you shouldn't wish bad on anyone. You shouldn't wish death on anyone. You shouldn't wish harm on people. You shouldn't celebrate when someone falls ill. And y'all know I am a Christian woman. But I'm sorry. It made me happy. I turned up. I ain't turned up. Who am I kidding? I ain't going nowhere. I ain't doing nothing. I shared the news with my family because I live on Twitter. And I happened to be awake that morning at 1 a.m. I was turned up. I don't know what to do with myself. I practically jumped out that window and danced naked under the full moon. Like, that's how I was feeling. It was lit. And to see Black Twitter celebrate the way they did, and I might or might not have posted some things on the socials to celebrate and join in the collective fun. But that's not the point. The point is that this moment and this that man falling ill is such a moment for me. I've been thinking about it since he got it because I've been trying to perfectly articulate what this feeling is and why it's so important for me. I can't speak for others, but in this moment, hearing and seeing that I ain't see nothing. And his doctors and nobody in there updated us. And somebody from his account, one of his aides, is still on there tweeting, acting like everything is fine. We ain't seen Trump. But whatever. He was rushed to the hospital. But hearing that he got COVID at 1 a.m., it filled me with joy. Because for so long, I don't even think that's correct grammar, but whatever. Bear with me. It has seemed like that man is beyond reproach. He is above the law, beyond repercussion, and is everything that no one should stand for. He represents everything wrong with the country. And I'm not comparing him to anybody else because we know who his running mate is. We ain't even going to talk about that yet. That's a whole other discussion. I don't even think that's going to be a whole other episode because I don't really want to talk about it. It probably will be, but whatever. But not comparing him to anyone else. He represents what America shouldn't stand for. But since his rise to even more power, it has kicked up the dust of America's ugly, disgusting nature. That of racism, xenophobia, capitalism, bleh. But seriously, capitalism, I am struggling to find the words because it's like there are so many things wrong in our nation. And to see someone who stands for everything wrong ascend to even more power and not be held accountable, it truly makes you wonder what is going on. It makes you wonder if there is a higher power and what the plan is. What is the plan? What the plan is for America right here and right now. It makes you wonder what systems are at work. It makes you wonder why someone involved closely with Jeffrey Epstein, who has done despicable things, who is already known to be a racist and a rapist, could ascend to such power. How did this man, who stands for everything that America shouldn't be, ascend to such power? So, doubling back to the point, to see him finally get called to the carpet internally and externally makes those in their right mind. It makes those who have sense happy, myself included. Because this man has been beyond reproach and above the law for so long. Seeing some kind of karma, if we believe in it, but seeing some kind of reproach manifest in his body makes us happy. And a lot of people are saying like, oh, that's petty, you shouldn't do that. And Jesus is doing the work in me, but sometimes, I get a little petty. I'll be the first to admit it. I'll be the first one to get a little cranky. I'll be the first one to laugh at somebody. But sometimes joy and sorrow can exist in the same space. Not just in our nation, but in ourselves. So, clearly, people getting a fatal virus and, God forbid, passing away from it is not funny. That is not what is funny. That's not what we're laughing at. That's not what we're celebrating. No. Because those deaths were preventable. Those were innocent lives lost. Because our POTUS, also known as our POS, didn't handle it the way he should have. That is not what we're celebrating. But what we are celebrating is hopefully, God, hopefully, we are witnessing the final countdown for someone who has been beyond reproach for essentially his entire life. So you know what? If it's not the final countdown, we're celebrating his fall from power. Because honestly, if this man wins again, child, what the hell we gonna do? What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? I remember when he first got elected, my peers and professors were crying in the streets. I'm being dramatic, excuse me. I'm being dramatic, but I had class that day. And classes were canceled. I wasn't mad at it, but people wept. And yes, there is a time and a place for everything, but I wept along with them. But in speaking to my Black family, we as a people, Black people, have been here before. This country was never built for us. We were brought here to build it. So, seeing someone rise to power like this is nothing new. Seeing those who are diametrically opposed to our wants and our needs as a people, as people who deserve the world for building a nation, people who deserve reparations, we should be used to it. No, we shouldn't be used to it. I changed my mind. I'm sorry. We shouldn't be used to trauma. We shouldn't be used to a corrupt system. We should never get used to. We should never find it comfortable. We should never take our seat and willfully sit in this. Because it is terrible. At the end of the day, it is. And it needs to change. But this nation was never built for me. So, after he won the first time, my family had to shake me because I was tripping. Maybe not in my lifetime, but this is a song that's been sung by my ancestors for generations. So, this stuff has happened before. Maybe not to you, but to someone in this nation. And for people that might have been privileged as not to see it or acknowledge it, maybe this is what's necessary. Maybe that man had to get into the White House for you to finally open your eyes. I'm not attacking you, but maybe, just entertain the thought, maybe. Now, you know what? As Americans, as people, as adults, it is our responsibility to research and to form our opinions. It is our job to remain educated. So if your eyes were closed, now they're open. Hopefully this won't ever have to happen again. Hopefully. Hopefully enough people have actually seen the atrocities that this nation is capable of committing in under 4 years. So maybe this won't have to happen again. Maybe it was necessary. Maybe that man getting in the White House was necessary, is what I'm saying. So, if you are celebrating, pour one out. I ain't gonna say what. Pour something out. If you are celebrating, allow yourself to celebrate. These past few months have been an unprecedented storm. So allow yourself to feel that happiness and jubilation, and allow yourself to feel it fully and wholeheartedly. But in your celebration, it is so important that we do not, and that you do not lose sight of the bigger picture. Because, like I said, that man is a walking, talking, breathing, small-handed, orange version and representation of America's ugly, disgusting nature. And that's why he is above reproach. Because it's the nature of the country that I'm from. And if you are not an American and you are listening to this, I am so sorry. But we just had to talk about it for a minute. So, do not lose sight of the bigger picture. He is the face of a very, very large and ancient, not like BC, but like ancient machine. A very large but ancient machine. So, if his face is taken off of it, the machine's still gonna work. If he's suddenly not in the picture, whatever that means, the machine is still going to keep moving. The machine is not going to stop. And before you know it, it's just going to be another face on the machine. So while we're celebrating, remember that there's still work to be done. There are still systems to dismantle and abolish. There are still people who aren't being represented by the nation that they are paying taxes to. And quite frankly, they be paying more taxes than the rich. So, let's keep that in mind. Let's celebrate now, but take it in stride, because there is still a lot of work that has to be done. That's honestly it. That's all I had to say. To conclude this episode, I just wanted to end with one affirmation. It is officially spooky season, known as October. And at the beginning of this particular month, it is so important to acknowledge that we have made it to the last quarter of the year. Not only that, but that we have seen another month. We have been fortunate. We have been blessed. And it's important that we make the most of it. So, at the beginning of this month, it's important that we look back over this very, very tumultuous year, to say the very least, and express our gratitude. People say that if you don't pay attention to your history, you'll wind up repeating it. And every lesson that I've learned this year, I do not wish to repeat. So, just take a moment and let's think about some of the things that we have learned thus far. What are you grateful for? What are you not grateful for? It's okay to not be grateful for certain things, because this year more than others, some of those things hurt and were very hard to experience. If nothing else, be grateful for yourself in overcoming this battle, because it is a battle. So for this week's affirmation, we're going to work together. Fill in the blank. I am grateful for. And I'm glad I'm doing this at the end of the episode, so you can really sit and think about and really list and work through the things that you are grateful for. The good, the bad, the ugly. They're all making us stronger. They're giving us a little more wisdom. And even though we've had to fight this year, we're basically almost on the other side of it. So, as always, I'm so grateful that you're here. I'm so appreciative. I have listeners now in, I think, 18 states. I got some international listeners. And we're surrounded by men, women, non-binary people. We're surrounded by people of all ages. And I'm sure all races. Or a large assortment of them. But either way, I am so grateful for you specifically listening and tuning into this podcast and sticking with me through the first official 10 episodes and meeting me here at the 11th. Thank you for following me on my socials, for promoting, and for participating in affirmations, in the Decca Affirmations ebook on my website. As always, you can find me on www.anotherbg. You can find me on Instagram at anotherbgi, on Twitter at anotherbgt, on Facebook at anotherbgf. This is going to be a good month, if you can't already tell. This is going to be a good month. And this month is also extraordinary, fun fact, because we have a full moon at the beginning and at the end of the month. So if that does anything for you, turn up. So I'll catch you next time on the 12th episode of another Black Girl podcast. As always, the mask goes above your nose. Wash your hands for more than 20 seconds. And I love you. Please stay safe and vote. Make sure you are prepared, willing, and able to vote. So that's it. I'll catch y'all on the next episode. This is another Black Girl podcast. Black girl. We're doing our best to make it last. This is another Black Girl podcast. Black girl. We're doing our best to make it last. Another Black Girl podcast.